Hello and welcome back to Retro Anime Realm, where I am finally kind of relaunching the channel, I guess, now. We're going to be following kind of the content I've been making over on the retroanimerealm.com website, which is a website I've just started fairly recently. As you may be aware, like in the last video, I kind of did an update saying that I'd made a new website called maturemanga.net. Unfortunately, as fate would have it, pretty much right after I made that video, probably about a week after, I had an absolute disaster with that website where everything basically just died due to some weird server issue, and I lost kind of quite a lot of the content on there. So because of that, I decided to just start again, and it made sense to bring back Retro Anime Realm, so there is now a website and this channel which you're watching now. So to start off the content on this new website and on this rejuvenated channel, I thought it would be about time to take a look at the famous 1990s anime Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, this anime has been on my radar for like a really long time. I remember watching it like when I went to the USA like years and years ago as a kid, probably when I was about 11 or 12. It's probably about 2002, 2003, somewhere around that time. And I remember it had an impression on me and I really wanted to see more, but unfortunately we never got it in the UK. And I've kind of put off watching it until now, which is a real shame. Other things just kind of got in the way, but I'm finally watching it. Yeah, so without further ado, let's just get into these first two episodes, really. I'd say this first episode is really, really good. I kind of didn't expect the first episode to be this good because, as you may know, like a lot of first episodes to most things and to most first episodes and most first chapters in books, they kind of just try and set the scene a little bit. They kind of ease you in. Some other ones just kind of try and throw you in straight away at the deep end, but this one was kind of interesting. I think it had a nice mix of both. And I think Yusuke Urameshi is kind of like a really interesting like main character because he isn't like a goody two shoes. He isn't like your typical kind of shonen hero. He is very much like a rebel. He's a man with like young man with a kind of like a chip on his shoulder. He has a bad reputation among like many of the people around him. So you get a main character a little bit different than what you'd find in most shonen series, really, which is quite interesting. And a lot of the things he does kind of makes him seem like, I don't know, someone you really wouldn't like, but he does certain things which kind of make you, which endears himself to you, like the act of coming in to save that boy from the speeding car, and the fact that Keiko, who seems to be his best friend, who's like this sweet, caring girl who seems to care for him a lot, shows kind of just enough that shows just enough for us, the audience, to like Yusuke. We also see that his home life probably isn't the best either. He's kind of being brought up by a single mother who has a pretty relaxed attitude, it seems, and quite the love for alcohol. So that's probably one of the reasons why Yusuke is how he is. And I've got to admit that kind of killing your main character right at the start is kind of a really bold thing to do. I don't think I've seen that in any other series, really. I think that's something quite unique for Yu Yu Hakusho to do. But it makes things very interesting indeed. So it's definitely the right decision for Yoshihiro Togashi to make, who was the creator of the original manga for Yu Yu Hakusho. And so it's pretty rare that like a first episode is able to deliver such emotion, but that is really what we get here with this first episode, of how we see Yusuke's death and how people react to it and kind of like the effect it has on people in Yusuke's life, even though he himself thought he wasn't someone who people enjoyed being around. And I think kind of like one of my favourite parts of the episode is when Yusuke's principal, Takanaka, came to mourn his death, because we saw Yusuke kind of see his principal as kind of like someone he didn't really care for at all. He didn't come to the office when he was called. You know how much like a rebel Yusuke is from this first episode, but kind of from seeing how Takanaka reacts, Yusuke realises kind of his principal isn't that much of a bad guy. He isn't someone just out to annoy him, and is in fact someone who cares about people like him and the other pupils at the school. And I think this is kind of one of the many kind of wake-up calls that young Yusuke gets here in his first episode. I think even at this point he starts to kind of mature quite a bit. And we kind of go into episode 2, which isn't quite so eventful, but involves Yusuke embarking on a quest to regain his body, because he's now been given the opportunity to do so by Yama or Koenma, which is kind of like the name he uses here. I think, obviously with Yu Yu Hakusho, I think it's been said many a time that there's so many similarities to this and Dragon Ball. I think the fact that there's a Yama in this as well, you can see that there's like another strong similarity there. I think a lot of anime though use kind of like things from Buddhist mythology and stuff, so this isn't kind of something to be surprised about, to be honest. But I think it's kind of interesting, you know, with Yu Yu Hakusho, people have said that it's kind of very similar to Dragon Ball, so I'm wondering whether Yu Yu Hakusho is going to be kind of what Dragon Ball Z would have been if it stuck to Dragon Ball's, you know, more mythical and mystical themes rather than venturing into sci-fi like it did. I think that's kind of what I think Yu Yu Hakusho may in fact be a little bit like going into it off the back of these first 2 episodes. But anyway, we see at the end of episode 2 that Yusuke succeeds in preventing his body from being cremated, thanks to Keiko and Kurobara as well. I really like Kurobara's character. I think he's got, provides quite a good amount of comic relief. So I really like the scene at the end of episode 2 where he kind of snaps out of being possessed, and he just finds himself holding Keiko, and Keiko ends up slapping him. I think that's a really funny moment. So yeah, we'll kind of see what creature hatches from the mysterious egg that Yusuke obtained from Koenma. Who knows what it's going to hatch into? Is it going to be that weird kind of demon creature that Koenma said it was? We don't know, but yeah, this is definitely a really good start for the series, I feel. Definitely, as I said, one of the best first episodes I've seen to an anime. I don't think the second episode was quite as memorable. It's kind of more similar to what you'd normally find with the opening episodes of an anime, kind of not so fast pacing and not so involved in the story and the overall arc of what's happening just quite yet, but still very entertaining. So yeah, these 2 episodes are really good, and we'll see how it goes from here, really. I'm really interested to see how Yusuke's adventure continues. So yeah, speak to you soon.